Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And in today's deep dive, I want to talk about universal basic income. And I want to talk about why I think it's inevitable. But I want to make it very clear here, I don't know what the best long-term solution is for what I'm about to talk about. I'm also not advocating one way or another for universal basic income. I'm not an economist, but it does seem like something like universal basic income is going to be inevitable given the trajectory that we are heading down as, quite frankly, an entire planet. And it definitely warrants an honest discussion without hyperbole. There are going to be people that automatically hear that and think, oh my God, Nick, you're an idiot, or absolutely, we need this no matter what. We need to talk about this. And so with that, let me start with some facts about society today that really got me thinking on this one, which is why I'm doing a deep dive on this. First things first, the world's population has grown from 1 billion in 1800 to over 8 billion in 2023. That's according to the United Nations. The last 30 years have seen the fastest increase in human population growth essentially ever for as long as we've been recording this. Now, by virtue of that, this has necessitated a sharp rise in technological innovation. We basically need to clothe, feed, and shelter everybody on the planet. And we already know that not everybody on the planet is really fully clothed, fed, and sheltered as much as we try. Now, on top of that, we have new technologies that are really exacerbating this. Automation is boosting productivity within businesses by about 15% or so, and it's bringing down costs about 12%. That's according to the Brookings Institution, and obviously those are good numbers for business. However, in manual labor markets, automation combined with robotics is expected to have the net effect of worker displacement. That's obviously a deep concern to labor unions and others alike. And remember, we're not stopping having kids. The use of autonomous vehicles is also rising on job sites, which also displaces jobs. That's driving down manufacturing costs in the long term, but is also expected to drive down costs for business long term as well. But again, there goes a lot of the drivers needed for these vehicles as well, meaning less jobs. On top of it, we have the rise in large language models, or LLMs. They're estimated to impact over 300 million jobs worldwide, and roughly 30 million people will lose their jobs outright in the next few years. That's according to Goldman Sachs. And again, we're not stopping having kids. And part of the issue outside of this is the socialization of the younger generations. If they can't get McJobs, because you're speaking to a robot when you're going through the McDonald's drive-thru, and a robot's making the Big Mac, how are we training the 16, 17, 18-year-olds to enter the workforce properly? And we're still not stopping having kids. Now, displacement of entry-level jobs is going to compound that labor shortage. So we have to talk about universal basic income. Now, one of the three quote-unquote godfathers of artificial intelligence, he's known as Geoffrey Hinton, recently made some interesting points on this concept. And for the record, these are issues I've been talking about for years here, on the radio and in podcasts and video and in every form that I've been talking about. But it really seems like it's coming to fruition. Now, Hinton was speaking to BBC's Newsnight program, and he said he was, quote, very worried about AI taking lots of mundane jobs, end quote. And yeah, the numbers really bear that out. And so by virtue of that, he has advised the UK government that a fixed universal basic income essentially is probably going to be a really good idea. Quote, I was consulted by people in Downing Street, end quote. Downing Street obviously really indicates that he's speaking to the higher echelons of the UK government. Now, another AI prediction that Hinton agrees with is that while technology will increase productivity and wealth, without government intervention, that money is going to go to basically those that own the platforms, the already very rich, quote, and not the people whose jobs get lost. And that's going to be very bad for society, end quote. And I think he's absolutely correct on that. We're already seeing a wealth divide that essentially is spreading. Now, I'm not for, communism or stuff like that. Again, I'm not an economist, but when you have deep divides in societal wealth with, let's say, an ultra elite wealthy and a very poor, let's say, masses or majority, what you historically end up with is revolution. Look at the French. So this is actually really interesting. And Hinton, for the record, is not the only industry expert to warn that universal basic income will be needed as a result of AI-related job losses. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, you know, if you're a longtime listener or follower of mine, I talk about Altman quite a bit as I do ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. Altman has campaigned for this benefit since 2016 when he carried out an experiment that gave 3,000 participants either $1,000 per month or $50 a month for 3 years. The results of that study, for the record, are due out later in 2024. Now, about a week ago or so, Altman also said that he wondered if universal basic income could be supplanted by universal basic compute, in which, quote, everybody gets a slice of GPT-7's compute and they can use it, they can resell it, they can donate it to somebody to use for cancer research, end quote, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that say, I'd rather have the cash than access to your platform. But this is essentially what we are talking about here. We have a rising population growth, and we have a job displacement issue with artificial intelligence taking over a lot of those mundane jobs, mundane tasks. You know, if you're looking for an assistant, you need one for 40 hours a week to organize your schedules, answer emails for you, et cetera, when an artificial intelligence can do a lot of that. And so now maybe you need part-time help or no help at all. On top of it, with the rapid growth of artificial intelligence, we are literally seeing job displacement at a rate we've never seen before. Now, we've had a concept in society and economics called creative destruction for quite some time, where something essentially gets destroyed, and out of the ashes of that destruction, like a phoenix, come a new, better, improved thing. So the mantra has always been of governments alike, and you can go watch video of President Biden, President Trump, President Obama, and on, talking about job displacement with basically more training. But the question is, training on what? So if you look back about a century plus ago, when London, the city of London in the UK, was converting from gas lamps all over the city to the electric light bulb, which the entire world inevitably did, you had basically protests by the Lamplighters Union or Collective or whatever it was. These were the gentlemen, and they were all men, that went around basically turning on, lighting the gas lamps and then turning them off during the day. They lost all of their jobs. But electrifying all of London, going from gas to light bulbs, took decades. This wasn't a thing that happened overnight, right? Wires had to be run, new infrastructure had to be built, et cetera, et cetera. And so by virtue of that, there was plenty of time for them to shift into other roles. They could see the inevitable coming. But with artificial intelligence, as it consumes more duties, more tasks, more responsibilities, we don't necessarily know how it's going to evolve and who's going to be displaced immediately. And then train them for what? With artificial intelligence, essentially, it can start programming itself. Not that that's good, Terminator-wise, but it can. And so by virtue of that, as that also improves, so does less need for AI programmers, AI engineers who are already burning out. I've done segments on that as well. So this is a problem that is not going away at any time soon. We have issues, I think, longitudinally in society because, again, we're not stopping having kids. And so by virtue of that, if we have more kids and we have less jobs that even the general population prior to the birth of the next generation, and Gen Alpha is right now being born 2012 to 2025, we're past Gen Z, this is a huge issue. And so we have to understand what this is going to do to society, how this is going to transform us, and quite frankly, how we're going to clothe, feed, and supply shelter to absolutely everybody when there's not enough jobs to go around. So I leave it at that. Is universal basic income good, bad, or ugly? Quite frankly, it's probably somewhere in between. And I think we as a society and as a global society have to figure this out. Because if we are creating wealth divides, if we are not giving people a purpose, then what is the purpose of life? And that's really, I think, what we need to contemplate here. So with that, I'll leave it at that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please just don't be hyperbolic because, quite frankly, what good does that do? And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.